Fallout 4 is a somewhat controversial game. While it launched with pretty good review scores from most major outlets, ending up with an average of 84 with 38 critic reviews on PC, and on Xbox One coming out to 88, and on PlayStation 4 sitting at 87. Not bad, not amazing, but certainly not bad. However, if you check the user scores, it's much more mixed, with almost just as many negative reviews as positive ones. Now, of course, user reviews on Metacritic are nothing that you should make any sort of informed decision on, because they also allow for hate ratings and trolls to vote, even if they haven't played the game themselves. So usually it's not a great indicator of whether or not a game is good or bad, but what it does tell us looking at it is that there were a lot of people when the game launched who were not too thrilled with the game for one reason or another. And when you compare this to something like Red Dead Redemption 2, you can see that the user scores and the critic scores were both very, very positive. And if we look at the user scores more specifically, you can see just how overwhelmingly positive the perception was. So why is this? Why was Fallout 4 such a hotly debated game? Well, it's because Fallout 4 launched like every Bethesda game does, with tons of bugs and glitches, poorly optimized for PC and various platforms, long load times, bugged out save files where people were just losing their saves randomly for no seemingly apparent reason, and many, 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 many more bugs. This was a real scandal at the time, though completely expected, because Bethesda has, as far as I can tell, never launched a polished game. But part of the reason they don't launch polished games is because the gamers who play these games largely don't seem to care, as you can tell with this article right here from Wired, where this author said Fallout 4 is full of bugs, but fixing them could ruin it. Okay, that's interesting. What's the thesis of the article? Quote, "Whenever a new Bethesda game comes out, I hope and pray that it's just as buggy and unpolished as its previous games." That's real. You know, it's moments like these where I'm like, you know what? I kind of get why people dog on gaming journalism. Like, I kind of get it now. I see it. Basically, their argument, as described in this subheader here, you can also read the whole article like I did, but this does a pretty good job of whittling it down. It said, quote, "Whenever a new Bethesda game comes out, I hope and pray that it's just as buggy and unpolished as the previous ones, because it means they're focused on the right things." And they basically argued that because the game is so buggy, it means that Bethesda's focusing on good gameplay systems and freedom of player and freedom of exploration and things like that. So it's actually a good thing that they don't spend so much time polishing, because they're spending that time doing other stuff, which makes the game more fun. And whether or not you agree with that sentiment, the point is, these games are really buggy, and we've gotten to the point where hardcore fans of Bethesda games don't seem to care about the bugs or glitches or anything at all. They just excuse it. Or in this case, they actually say that it's not a bug, it's literally a feature. It's like, no, it's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. And let me just say, I really wanted Fallout 4 to be good back in 2015. I actually started this channel way back then, before I took like a 2-year break from it, where I was just pumping out Fallout 4 hype videos, like pumping it up, speculating on screenshots and trailers and stuff. And when the game came out, I actually made a video of myself playing it, and I found it. Look at this. This is Luke from 7 going on 8 years ago. Young little clean shaven Luke. I was super excited for this, but what you don't see in this video, which now is unlisted, I'm sorry, I'm keeping it private for myself, is that I was actually pretty mortified at the performance of the game. I really struggled to get through it. The frame rates were dropping all over the place. Load times were extremely long, so I had to cut those out. It took like 4 minutes to load in, I remember, to the world for the first time. It was just a horrible experience, and I was so excited for the game. You see my face just slowly get more and more stern and upset as I played more of this game. And it's because I was so hyped for it, and then I was crushed when I realized it launched broken. And what followed was a tirade against Fallout 4 after my sort of grieving process, where I really started to call Bethesda Game Studios out for launching broken products. In my view, it's unacceptable to sell a consumer something you know is broken in the hopes that either mods will fix it or that you'll fix it after you've sold it to somebody. That's just stupid. In any other industry, it would be totally unacceptable. If Apple sold you a phone and said like, oh yeah, randomly like the screen flickers and also the cameras often don't work and the buttons, sometimes they get stuck and it charges only to 50% a lot of the time. But don't worry, we're gonna patch it with software after you've bought it, probably in a few months. Maybe it'll take us up to a year, but just buy it now because you like our stuff. And at least the bugs show that we were focused on the right stuff. You know, like if any other company in any other industry did this, it would be completely unacceptable. But in video games, I guess we're just okay with it for some reason. But people have been telling me that I need to give Fallout 4 another chance, that it's actually very refined. And I actually recently popped back into it to give it a shot and to see how well it runs and if they made any progress, and I've been pleasantly surprised, and I want to take you along for the ride. Because you see, I think Fallout 4 can be a great game for some people. I know I've bashed it completely in years past, but I'd like to think that I can take a little bit more of a nuanced position in this video. So I'm going to explain how I think Fallout 4 works in some instances, totally breaks in others, where I think it excels, and maybe we'll wrap all of it up by talking about how this game could signal what we're going to get with Starfield in just a few short months. The newest game from Bethesda Game Studios, which obviously is taking a lot of inspiration from this particular title. And boom, here we are in Fallout 4. This save file is a little bit later on, probably about 30 hours or so. And as you can see, it's actually running fairly well. We're up in well over 120, more like 130 plus frames per second. And this is running native 4K. This isn't running with like DLSS or anything. That's not supported. So this is raw 4K performance on my rig, which I have linked in the description link tree below. So if you want to see everything I'm running this game on, you can check it out there. But I mean, honestly, very, very impressive so far. Now, one of the most hotly debated things with regards to Fallout 4 is whether or not it lived up to what was promised. What a lot of people feel was promised was an open world exploration RPG, right? So typical role-playing game like you would expect from BGS. They made Skyrim, they made Fallout 3. You'd expect branching choices, major moral decisions based on your actions, you know, that typical RPG thing. However, pretty much immediately, once people got their hands on the game, they realized that this was not that. You see, Fallout 4 is a really solid open world exploration looter shooter, but not really a role-playing game. In fact, the way to have the most fun with Fallout 4, according to most people, including me, is if you go out and just ignore the narrative stuff. You just go out, explore, have fun, take down raiders, build your forts and your whole setup and base. Just don't screw around with the story because it's kind of lame. It really lacks punch, even though like they really lean into it and expect you to have an emotional reaction to it. It's just not very good. And one of the things with RPGs is that you need to take it seriously in order for it to have a real impact on you, right? So you have to treat it like it's a serious matter of life and death for the characters involved. You have to take your decisions seriously. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. The problem is that Fallout 4 has a story which, if you took it seriously, would prevent you from engaging with the best parts of it. Allow me to explain a little bit more, because I know that's confusing. You see, in Fallout 4, the story is pretty simple, at least to start, where you are a father or a mother, depending on which of the two options you choose to play with. And then you go out into the world after your significant other has been murdered in front of you and your baby has been stolen. So you have a very clear objective: find your kidnapped child. Easy enough. And this is a pretty serious thing. Your child's missing. So you're going to put everything on hold and chase down the mother trucker who kidnapped your child. However, if you do that, then you will not get to engage with the best parts of Fallout 4, which is the mindless meandering through the wastes, trying to discover new places to loot and scavenge, trying to take down bosses or legendary enemies for better loot, discovering new companions to explore the wastes with, and different factions that you can talk with. All of that will be lost on you because you are so committed to blasting through the main story, trying to find your son, because that's what the writers want you to do. Like, if you take it seriously, you'll end up having a bad time, versus if you don't take it seriously, you'll have a better time. It's really weird. And to be clear, this is not the only studio or only game that has had this problem. There's plenty of other examples. Even to some extent, a game like The Witcher 3 has this problem early on, where players will want to just go out and explore freely, but they can't because they're trying to find Ciri, basically their surrogate sort of daughter. The difference, though, is in that game, you are encouraged to go and talk to everybody you can to gather information as to where Ciri might be. Sup, dude? Boom. I'm playing this on the hardest difficulty, by the way, so that I get more legendary enemies spawning. But what it ends up doing is it just turns all of these like grunt enemies into super soldiers, and it's not very fun, actually. I'll take this. Get away from me. But anyway, another example of a game that really commits this sin badly is Cyberpunk 2077. I know everybody wants to like start praising that game nowadays, but like I gotta be real with you, it's got this problem bad. What's the story in Cyberpunk 2077? Well, you are a character who is dying and is very quickly approaching the other side, and so you start looking for some sort of cure to save both you and Johnny, or to damn Johnny to damnation if you choose to, depending on which route you go in the story. And you know, because you are, again, you know, dying, you make that a priority and you start blasting through the main story. But that's the thing. If you take the story seriously, you'll end up missing all of the side content because you're trying not to die. And so if you take the story seriously, you miss out on the best parts of the game, the side content that sort of complements the main story fantastically well. Something as simple as the primary objective for the protagonist of a game can ruin the game for RPG players, for people that take the story seriously. And the way a lot of these studios fix it is that they basically get you to the end of the story, and either you finish it or they warn you, hey, you're about to reach the end of the story with one of those pop-ups. If you don't want to miss out on all the side content, you need to complete it now before you move into the final quest. So then you stop taking the story seriously, you put that on hold, ignore it, and then pursue all of the side content. In the case of Cyberpunk 2077, that came about 25 hours in, where you reach that point where it warns you you're about to reach the end of the story, and then you go dink around for 40 hours of gameplay doing all of the side stuff, just pretending like you're not dying, and the game won't acknowledge it or mention it either. And frankly, this is why so many people who went into Fallout 4 expecting an RPG ended up hating it, like me, because we played it like an RPG and then we're like, oh, this freaking sucks. Because when you play it as an RPG, you end up missing out on all the side content and the world exploration and all of the stuff that really makes Fallout 4 worth playing to begin with. And this is frankly why it matters so much how developers and these companies pitch the game to you, because it sets expectations. If Todd Howard comes out and says, Fallout 4 is going to be a narrative RPG, you're going to play it like a narrative RPG when you get your hands on it. And if it's more like Fallout 4, you'll be disappointed. But if he comes out and he says, listen, this is about exploration, it's about discovering interesting things in the world and creating your own story through exploration and adventure. If he said that, we're good. People are going to go into it with the right expectations. But because of the mixed signals we got with this game before launch, a lot of people, for lack of a better term, played it the wrong way. What do they want? What you need? Sup, bro? Sup, bro? He's just showing off. I got a vertibird. Suck it, dude. You're running on foot. I know. Real quick, does anybody... Oh, Jesus. Oh, he's having a rough day. Real quick, though, does anybody in the comments out there know if there's a mod to be able to, like, fly those things? Like, there's the flying car mod for Cyberpunk 2077 that we had a lot of fun with. I'll have that video linked below if you want to go check it out. Oh, no. They're dead. What happened? They just blew up. Bro. They got shot down? Is that what happened? I mean, I'll give them this. They've got some real dynamic gameplay going. I guess the Raiders shot them down. Who is this dude? Oh, he's an initiate. I always hit escape instead of tab. What's up, dude? That was a lot. You okay? I guess they're good. That was weird. And he just walks right through it. It's a Bethesda game. What can you expect? But like, that's a perfect example. That's something interesting that happened just by playing the game and exploring. And that's where Fallout 4 is at its best, when its systems are just kind of going crazy and doing their own thing. And that exploration is what Bethesda is so good at. I've never thought that Bethesda made very good RPGs. I don't even consider Skyrim like an RPG in the purest sense. It's a sandbox junk food game. It's a game that is just feel good. You can consume a lot of it in one go. At the end of it, you won't really be filled. It won't give you like a ton of satisfaction or sustenance, but it's there and it's good. It's worth engaging with, and you can have a really, really good time. And a lot of the time it hits your sweet tooth that only wants that particular type of game just right, and you end up very, very happy when all is said and done. That's what Bethesda's really good at. They have a very particular and unique style of game design. In a lot of ways, they are one of the pioneering developers of the Western RPG, and they make it look easy. And I think that they need to double down on that in games like Skyrim in order to really showcase what they can do, instead of trying to do like, you know, a narrative RPG when they just frankly aren't very good at that. Oh, they mutated. God damn it. Come on, peek it. Peek it, bro. Peek it. Peek it. Boom. Oh, I have a dog? There's a dog attacking me. Sorry, we're gonna go all Last of Us on you. Boom. Oh, that was gruesome. Hold on. Do I have a fat boy? I might have a fat boy. Hold on. Oh, sorry. It's fat man, not fat boy. Fat boy's probably insensitive. Oh, I don't have any ammo for it. Gah. Look at that. Look at that recoil. Pop. Bling, 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 bling. There we go. Okay. Sucks to suck. And listen, I know that it might be controversial to say that like there's a right and wrong way to play games. I know some people get kind of triggered when I say that. But what I mean is that there are certain styles of gameplay that the developers clearly prefer. And in terms of pacing, there's also certain things which are pretty clearly better and worse, depending. So in the case of Fallout 4, you are much better off just going out and exploring than you are trying to take the story really, really seriously. Because if you go out and explore, you'll have more fun. I think that's a problem with the developers, that they don't encourage you to do that more, or rather they discourage it unintentionally behind like an after the fact with the story pushing you into following it really closely. But either way, I think it's a developer issue. I don't think it's a player issue for playing the game wrong. I think the player's just playing the game. The developer's job is to make sure that everybody who plays it has a good time. But I'll be real, I've been going back through Fallout 4 and its DLC, which are all really, really good and worth playing. Though Nuka World 1 is a little more because they just bring out like a straight up magician and pretend like you're just not going to notice that he's doing actual magic. But Far Harbor is tremendous in every way. I mean, you can see just in this trailer for it, they really put a lot of emphasis on making it feel separate from the base game. And I will tell you, the narrative of the Far Harbor DLC is better than anything we've gotten story-wise from Bethesda in like 15 years. It really is that good. So if you have not played the Far Harbor DLC and you've been interested in going back to Fallout and you don't want to go to Fallout 76, which I totally understand, then you should absolutely go back to this. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Oh, you remember Swan from the main story? Oh, that's a throwback. That's a throwback. Yeah, you fight her right in here. She comes out of the pond. Oh, good times. Good times. And I'm here in my barbarian outfit. Just a loincloth and nothing else. And my Wolverine mutton chops. I don't remember making this decision. This save file's like quite old. This is probably like a 2016-17 save file, but man, I went at it. Look at that. But the other cool thing is that Fallout 4 is available on Game Pass. Of course, being an Xbox Now owned game and studio, you can play it without any additional cost just by going to Game Pass and checking it out. So if you've been intrigued and you want to go and maybe return to it or try it for the first time, I think you should. And I'm saying that as somebody who is extremely critical towards Fallout 4 back in the day. I've kind of come out the other side. I'm less cynical now. I'm less bitter because I was so disappointed back in the day. And now I can look at it and I can appreciate it for the good while I also can tease it relentlessly for the bad, because some of the writing in this is just horrible. Like the little kid that you find trapped in a refrigerator that's been there for 200 plus years, and his family still lives at their house down the street, and have just never noticed that he is trapped inside of a refrigerator and he's actively screaming for help. You think I'm making this up, I'm not. But you know what, if you decide to go back to Fallout 4 and explore it once again, you should let me know in the comments. I've been playing through on my Xbox using the Play Anywhere feature with xCloud, and I've been pleasantly surprised at how much I'm enjoying it. And I would love to dish it out with you over on our Discord, which is also linked below. I'm there all the time. I really am trying to be more and more active on Discord. So if you're interested in hanging out with me there and a ton of really awesome people, then come out and join us. No charge, no nothing. You just get to join a Discord, hang out with some cool people. And when I have extra game codes like this one for God of War, I'll give them away out there to members of the Discord. So come hang out with us and say hi. Pop. Sucks to suck, dude. And I know people gave the gunplay in this game crap because it's not as good as some other like open world adventure games. For a Bethesda game, it's very, very good combat, and I'm just happy to have it. And honestly, I think the weapon customization alone is really cool, and I would not bash it. I wouldn't even say it's bad. I think it holds up pretty well. It's not the best ever. As you see, it leans heavily into like bullet spongy enemies, but it's still really fun. And if you've played this type of like open world adventure game before, you're probably used to bullet sponge enemies, so it's not that big of a deal to you. But all told, I'm really enjoying Fallout 4 again, and I think you will too. So don't listen to Luke of 2015 because he was bitter and sad. Listen to the Luke of 2023. He is more optimistic and hopefully a little bit more intelligent. Emphasis on little bit, because I try to evolve my opinions as much as I can, but sometimes I know it can feel like I'm just going back and forth on stuff. But I really am trying to narrow down my opinions on games to the most accurate and consistent ones, even if that means contradicting something I said 6, 7, 8 years ago. But you know what? Who hasn't changed their minds in the last 7, 8 years? If you haven't changed your mind on stuff in the last 8 years, you probably should, because nobody's right on things they believed 8 years ago. Like everybody's changed their minds on something. So maybe it's cause for introspection. But anyway, I'm going to call it there and go play some games for a review that will be going up later this month if you are interested. In the meantime, make sure to sub, like the video if you enjoyed it, check out that social media, the Discord, all of that in the link tree below. And if you want to come hang out with me live, I am live streaming right now every Monday, Wednesday, Friday over on Luke Stevens Live. Just look up in the search bar Luke Stevens Live or in the link tree, and you can come hang out with us as we play games, talk gaming news, build massive Lego sets. I have like a third of the Titanic left to go. So if you're interested, come hang out with us. But with that, thank you for watching. I love you all more than you could possibly know, and I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.